Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. And today we're looking at something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at common deathbed regrets.
Oh, wow.
But don't worry, we're not going to get all morbid and, doom and gloom here.
Right.
But we're going to use it as a lens to see how we can actually live more fully right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how these themes of regret, they really seem to transcend time and culture.
Yeah.
It makes you think that it's like a shared human experience.
Yeah.
Something about it hints at what we truly value.
It's almost like a cheat sheet, right?
Yeah.
Like we get to learn from others' experience without having to wait to the very end.
Exactly.
So we have some fascinating sources to draw from today. One of them is actually from a palliative care nurse, and she actually compiled a list of the top regrets that she heard from people.
Wow. That's such a powerful perspective.
Yeah.
And it really echoes what we see in larger research on end-of-life experiences as well.
Okay, so let's dive into the first regret. This is a big one. Not living authentically. So imagine getting to the end and realizing you lived someone else's life. Like you never chased your own dreams.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
I know.
And it's way more common than you might think.
Really?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is societal pressures or family expectations,
Oh, yeah.
even just our own fear of judgment. I think all those things can push us off course.
So it's like instead of living based on, our own inner truth,
Right.
it's based on external validation. So
Exactly.
it's almost like we're on autopilot going through the motions.
Yeah.
So how do we break free from that autopilot and start to live more authentically?
It's not about this huge overnight transformation.
Yeah, right.
It's really just a series of small conscious choices.
Oh,
So ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do today that feels true to myself, true to my values?
I love that.
So maybe it's saying no to a commitment that drains you, or finally starting that creative project you've been putting off.
I love that idea of focusing on small steps because that feels manageable rather than trying to, overhaul your whole life at once.
Absolutely.
Okay, so regret number 2 hits close to home for a lot of us, especially today in today's always-on culture. Working too much, neglecting loved ones.
It's a classic
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
And our sources really paint such a vivid picture of this, like missed birthdays,
Yeah.
forgotten anniversaries, important conversations never had because work always took priority.
It's like we think, oh, I'll make it up to them later.
Right.
But later doesn't always come, right?
Sadly, it doesn't. And that's why I think it's crucial to be more proactive.
Okay.
Instead of letting work just eat up your life, try scheduling some dedicated family time. Just like you would an important meeting.
Oh,
Make it non-negotiable.
I love that. It's like we block time on our calendars for deadlines.
Right.
Why not do that for the people that matter most?
Exactly. And you might even find that time that you're intentional about outside of work
Yeah.
actually improves your focus when you are working.
Right. That's a win-win.
Right.
Okay. Regret number 3. This one really gets to me. Suppressing our feelings. Holding back the words we really long to say. So think about all those unspoken I love yous or apologies or gratitude.
Yeah, it's heavy. And a lot of times it's rooted in fear, right?
Yeah.
Fear of vulnerability or rejection or conflict.
Oh, yeah.
But holding back those feelings really creates distance in relationships.
Yeah, it does.
And it can leave us with a lot of regret later on.
It's like we build walls around our hearts to protect ourselves from getting hurt,
Yeah.
but then we're blocking ourselves from experiencing,
Yes.
real connection and intimacy.
Yeah.
So how do we break down those walls and start expressing ourselves more authentically?
Small steps, again, are key. Think about one relationship
Okay.
where you've been kind of holding back.
Yeah.
What's one feeling you want to express? Or one thing you want to say to this person? It doesn't have to be this grand gesture.
Right.
Sometimes a simple, heartfelt message can be incredibly powerful.
I love that challenge. Choose one relationship and just express one thing you've been holding back.
Yeah,
It's a great starting point for anybody who feels stuck.
absolutely.
Okay. Speaking of relationships, our next regret is all about letting those connections slip away.
Oh, yeah.
Regret number 4, losing touch with friends. So life gets busy, priorities shift, and suddenly years have passed.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame because those friendships really bring so much richness to our lives.
Yeah.
They offer support systems, shared laughter, different perspectives that really, broaden our worldview.
I think sometimes we take those friendships for granted. Like, we assume they'll always be there.
Yeah,
But like any relationship, it requires nurturing. It takes effort.
absolutely.
So how do we prevent this regret from taking root?
Honestly, it's overcoming that initial hurdle of reaching out.
Yeah.
We overthink it. We get caught up in our heads, and then we convince ourselves it's too awkward or too much time has passed.
Oh, I've definitely been guilty of that. So what's the antidote to overthinking it?
Just keep it simple.
Okay.
Send a quick text,
Yeah.
make a phone call,
Uh-huh.
extend a casual invitation to grab coffee.
Okay.
Like these small gestures can go a long way in rekindling those friendships.
It's a great reminder that connection doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, hey, thinking of you.
Exactly.
And that could lead to a renewed friendship.
It really could. And that brings us to our final regret. And this one might seem kind of paradoxical, not allowing ourselves to be happy.
Oh, that is interesting. Because, I mean, obviously we all want to be happy.
Right.
But sometimes it's like we're chasing happiness instead of actually experiencing it.
I think that's right.
Like we're always waiting for the right circumstances or the perfect moment, you know?
It's almost like we're stuck on this autopilot, striving for some sort of external validation. Like once I achieve this, then I'll be happy.
Oh, yeah.
But, our sources suggest that true happiness, it's not really a destination.
Oh.
It's more of a way of being.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. I think a lot of us fall into that trap of thinking that happiness is something we have to earn or achieve.
Yeah.
What if it's more about choosing to find joy in the present moment, like right now?
I think you're right. And that's where I think mindfulness practices can be so helpful.
Oh, yeah.
They help us shift our focus from what we lack
Yeah.
to what we have, to appreciate the simple things and find contentment in the present moment.
So it's not about ignoring our goals or pretending like everything's perfect.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating an awareness of all the good stuff that's already there.
Exactly. And the great thing is you can practice mindfulness pretty much anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
It doesn't require a special cushion or a silent retreat.
Oh, that's good.
You can bring mindfulness to your morning coffee or your commute.
That's a great point because it makes it feel more accessible.
Right.
Like something you can weave into your daily routine.
Exactly.
So if someone is really stuck in that I'll be happy when mindset, what is like a practical step they can take to start cultivating more happiness right now?
Okay, so think of something you genuinely enjoy.
Mm.
Something that just brings you a sense of peace or joy. Doesn't matter how small.
Okay.
Could be listening to your favorite music or spending time in nature or reading a good book. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
commit to doing it today, even if it's just for a few minutes.
I love that. It's like we're intentionally creating those little pockets of joy in our day instead of waiting for them to just magically appear.
Yeah.
As we've been talking about these 5 regrets, I'm struck by how interconnected they are.
Oh, totally. They all point back to this idea of living intentionally,
Yeah.
making choices that align with our values and our desires.
Yeah. It's like we're being given a roadmap, not just to avoid regret, but to create a life that feels really meaningful.
Right. And not just meaningful, but fulfilling.
Yes,
I like it.
exactly. I think it's easy to get caught up in the heaviness of regret,
Yeah.
but I'm curious about the flip side. What about the things people on their deathbeds don't regret?
That is a good question. What stands the test of time? What really matters?
Yeah, like maybe it's not about the things we accumulate or, the accolades we achieve, but like the quality of our relationships or the kindness we've extended to others, the moments of joy that we savor.
Yeah, it's about those things that leave a positive impact on the world. The things that enrich not only our lives, but the lives of the people around us.
Yeah, and when we start to focus on those things, I think it can really shift our perspective on everything.
Yeah, it's not about striving for perfection
Right.
or avoiding mistakes,
Yeah.
but living with a sense of purpose.
And that purpose doesn't have to be like this grand world-changing mission. It could be something as simple as showing up for your family or pursuing your passions or giving back to your community in a way that feels meaningful.
Right.
I think there's something really empowering about that reminds us that we have the capacity to create a really rich and fulfilling life, regardless of our circumstances.
Absolutely. And it's not about having all the answers
Yeah.
or waiting for that perfect moment. It's about just taking those small steps,
Yeah.
day by day to just align our actions with our values.
And I love how you keep coming back to those small steps because it makes this whole process feel less daunting. Instead
Yeah.
of like overhauling your entire life, it's like, okay, what's one small thing I can do today?
Right. One small action leads to another,
Yeah.
and gradually we start to create the life that we want.
Okay, so as we're kind of nearing the end of this deep dive, what is one key takeaway that you would want to leave our listeners with?
Don't delay living. Don't wait for the right time or the perfect circumstances. Just start living in alignment with your values now. Embrace the present moment. Choose joy. Nurture those relationships and be yourself. You won't regret it.
Don't delay living. I love that. That's such a great way to kind of sum all this up. Living authentically and, being present and all those things.
Yeah, just remembering that you have the power to make those choices for your life and yeah, make a story that you're, proud of and feels good.
Yeah, and as we've been kind of exploring all these different regrets, it's made me think about how they're almost like guideposts, pointing us toward what really matters.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Instead of feeling guilty or anything,
Yeah,
let's use this as a chance to, change and grow from all this.
exactly. So if someone's listening and maybe feeling a little overwhelmed, like, where do I even start with all this? What's a good first step?
Hmm. I'd say pick one of the regrets we talked about, the one that maybe really spoke to you the most, and then just ask, what's one little thing I could do to change that in my life?
So, like, if it's that regret of working too much, maybe it's like scheduling family time every week
Yeah.
or talking to your boss about your workload.
Right. Or if it's that regret of not saying how you feel,
Hmm.
maybe it's just sending a nice message to someone
Yeah.
or just trying to be more present when you're with people.
And if it's, the regret of not letting yourself be happy, maybe it's just like doing one little thing each day that, brings you joy, no matter how small.
Absolutely. It's about changing our focus from what we're doing
Yeah.
to how we are being,
Yeah.
you know? Are we being our true selves? Are
Yeah.
we taking care of our relationships? Are we finding those moments of joy even when life's busy?
Those are such great questions to think about.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to thank you so much for, sharing all your insights with us and helping us really reframe these regrets as opportunities for growth.
It's been great being here, and I hope everybody listening feels like they can create lives that, are true to themselves and full of, joy and purpose.
Well said. And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us on this journey. We hope you found this deep dive helpful and inspiring. And until next time, keep diving deep and keep living with intention.